All right, all right, all right, all right, all right, all right. Shalom, shalom, Sister Deborah, prophetess in the wilderness. And you know what? That's all right with me coming again on this Deborah platform with another message. And I will say this is a lovely evening in which the Most High, Ahaya has made, and I, Sister Deborah, shall and I will rest therein. I just coming to you with a message. I'm not going to be with you long, but I'm hoping that you all are blessed um, by this message. And those that are out there that have understood spirit and truth because of the Ruach HaKodesh that lives in you, he will abide in you and he will teach you spirit and truth. Now, the spirit and truth is directly from the Holy Spirit, which is the Ruach HaKodesh. This thing that you have people out here doing, calling themselves different positions, and they're out here teaching. They are teaching from the flesh. And the Father gave me a message. I just walked about a mile and a half, and I was trying to video while walking, but I was having problems. So I said, when I get home, I'm going to do just that. And I feel so drained and so tired, but I feel so compelled to come before you at this time. And I will be back at 7 p.m. Central Time with another message. This message is going to cover what he told me on my walk today. He said, Deborah, the deceiver, the deceivers are ordained to deceive. The Father says that the deceivers are ordained to deceive. And why is he coming to me and why is he saying it to me is because he taught me what took place before the foundation of the world. And that means everything that you will see today, Deborah, it has been seen in the heavens before the heaven and earth was created. So in a way, he wants me to understand that it's nothing for me to worry about or get bent and buckle under, you know, being so. He taught me first what took place before the foundation of the world. And with me receiving that, it helped me to understand why things are the way that it is. But today, somewhere along the line, he wants me in my spirit man to really grip this thing while in my lane to know that outside of the lane, I will see these things. Even in my lane, I will see on all sides, on other lanes, I will see that deceivers are ordained to deceive. So you got the deceivers and those who are going to be deceived. The Father said they're coming strictly and they was ordained from heaven to be deceivers and those who are deceived. That's powerful to me. It's very powerful. It's something that he didn't have to give me, but that's how I've known him. He's one that would come to me and he would inform me of things, and he adds things on to even things he have already informed me of, even when I was a young girl. He'll come back and he'll add and show me things, and he revealed things to me. He would teach me things. When you get to the point where Ahia is doing these things in you, around you, in your ear, and showing you in your eyes so you can see it, it's because he abides that great in you to where he has decided to give you all that he has for you so that you can still walk and stay in your lane and run this journey. Okay, as I've said in time past, I am a prophetess in the wilderness. The wilderness is this college in which I attend. The Ruach HaKodesh is my teacher, my scholar, my teacher, my all in all. And I've been in that class for quite some times, for quite some time. And I don't think I would go to any other college outside of the college of the wilderness in which the Holy Spirit has taught me from. And as I said today, I was doing my mile and a half walk, and this topic came to me, and the Father want me to cover it for someone that's out there that's already in the light, that's already received spirit and truth, but they need to come from among those. See, a lot of people don't understand when you hear in Revelation said come out of her. That's out of a lot of situations, you all. And it's not situations that has anything to do with the side of the spirit. It is situations that has to do with the side of evil and wicked. Okay, come out of her. When the Father want me to tell you, those that are created and ordained and predestined down here to be deceivers, they are already ordained to deceive. Okay, so they don't, most of them don't even know that they are ordained to deceive. They don't even know it because it becomes the norm for them. You know, it's so much within them to keep them from seeing any light, any spirit and truth, any righteousness. They can't even see all the tools that they came down here with. Deceivers are those who are higher, has suffered to be on the earth to deceive the deceivers. Deceive the deceivers come down to be the one that feeds those that are deceived. That's what the Father is saying. So when I'm constantly going to him and saying, okay, I'm waiting for him to show his wrath, he said that is already in place, but it's going to be shown where the whole world is going to see, and it's going to be shown where everybody that once followed deceivers, they're going to see the deceivers falling. Okay, and it's not based on Sister Deborah's time, but it's a time period in which the Father has already orchestrated, and a lot of the deceivers are going to be left in her. Okay, so they're not coming out of her. They are so relaxed and deceiving people, and it's almost like putting on two pair of shoes. I mean, putting on a pair of shoes. You got to put one on the left and one on the right. The deceiver has to put that shoe on his right foot, which is the deceiver, and on his left foot is the deceive. He puts that on the left foot, the deceive. So it's like they come down here, the Father say, ordained for this position that works with each other together. So a lot of people might think that, okay, a lot of people are lost and a lot of people confused. A lot of people don't understand. A lot of people don't have the ruach. No, it ain't that they don't have it. They're not going to get it because they will orchestrate to come down here to be up under the deceivers. So those that are deceived, they must sit up under the deceiver because that's what they are ordained. And the deceiver is ordained to deceive. Okay, so you see how that work hand in hand. Those people are not going to be changed. You can't be on this devil platform a million years with them and it's going to be any difference. No, they come down here like that. That's why they're not moved by anything. So let me go over some of the things he was showing me. He told me that a deceiver, okay, they think and they control outside of righteousness. They think and they control outside of righteousness because they have their own righteousness. Okay? Why? Another thing about the deceiver, a deceiver don't pay any attention really to the spiritual realm, because the only way the deceiver come down to deceive the deceived ones is it has to be in the flesh. A deceiver will come down to deceive the flesh of man. You see, that's his whole mission, is to be on the side to deceive the flesh of man, because he come down to school those that are deceived. So the deceiver teaches those that are deceived. They were both ordained to come down to work with each other. Okay? Now the deceiver don't believe in anything righteous. They don't believe in anything righteous because they believe that flesh is the best friend to righteous. They believe that flesh is side by side with spirit. See how screwed up? They believe everything in the flesh gets more or all light in their eye. No, I ain't gonna say light. They feel that flesh is higher than spirit. They feel that flesh controls the spirit. They feel that flesh comes first before the spirit. They believe that righteous is connected to that flesh. See, their whole mindset is about deceiving the people in the flesh. And the deceiver that sits up under them, they don't even know your mission was ordained to sit up under the deceiver. So they hand in hand. And the deceiver is not going to teach righteousness. It's not going to teach just, because it seems to think that flesh is connected to righteousness. Flesh is connected to just. The individuals that comes here and that Ahaya has ordained to deceive, they have to deceive themselves before they are able to step out on the mission of a deceiver to deceive. So what they do is they deceive themselves mentally in their mindset. Okay, they deceive themselves. Once they have put themselves in such a high level of self-centered pride and boasting, ego, and all these things to the flesh, then they feel comfortable with taking on their purpose to deceive those who are going to be deceived. So, but first they have to deceive their own self. And they do an excellent job deceiving themselves, so that they work on, it's just like going in the weight room and you trying to pick up muscle, turning fat to muscles. And you, in the process of it, it also picks up muscles to where you're more, maybe you weigh in more, or, you more stronger. That's the same way. You're doing it to your own flesh. You're trying to reach a goal, okay, of turning fat into muscles. Well, that's what a deceiver does. It's trying to deceive others. But before it deceives others, it has to deceive itself. So it has to put on all this within itself so that it can prepare itself to deceive others. Okay. He was explaining to me, they don't see order of a higher. They work hard out of order. They work hard out of order. Now, when the Father gives me that, he's telling me because they believe that the flesh has the true order. Everything of the flesh has the first and the true and the righteous order. You see? So they don't be up under the order of Yah. Okay? Now, if I can get this book right here, let me show you an example. What a deceiver comes to deceive the world. Let's show you an example. In Genesis chapter 1, let's go there. In Genesis chapter 1 and verse 26, we're going to start with 26. In Genesis chapter 1, verse 26. Now, see what a deceiver would say. We're going to bypass Genesis 1 and 2. We're not going to focus on that. We need to come over in Genesis after the sin came on the scene. Because a deceiver is after the sin. Okay? It is not after the will of Yah. A deceiver does not follow up under the will of Yah. But it uses Yah as its shield to deceive others, and others become deceived. You see? So watch this here. In Genesis chapter 1, verse 26, and Yah said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them. The word them does not represent him. It's representing in the Father's perfect will, because there was no sin when he created all of this. Let me say that again. In Genesis 1, chapter 1, and Genesis chapter 2, there was no sin. But a deceiver would curse Genesis 1 and Genesis 2 because that's a lot of mystery in it. Why? Because they cannot deceive the people with Genesis 1 and Genesis 2. Because that was the perfect will of Yah. When he created everything, it was good. It was perfect. Now watch this here. And there was no sin. In Genesis chapter 1 and verse 26. And Yah said, let us make man in our image and in our likeness, and let them. You see the word them. We're going to say that's one time. Have dominion over the fish in the sea, and the fowls, the air, and over the cattle, over all the earth. Now he's saying them. He said the image that we're going to give them is going to be my image, which is a spirit, but they're going to have them, not him. See, he's telling you it was always created for them. But men that come, and those men that comes here as ordained deceivers, they wouldn't come into this realm and say, wait a minute, Father, when you spoke in your perfect form and made everything perfect, and even in your eyes you said it was good, you orchestrated to be them. How did it get out of order, Father? When sin came. So sin is one of the best friends of a deceiver. His very closest friend. He's not going to get no friend closer than sin. And the individual uses sin and calls sin righteous, and righteous sin. Now see, listen to this here. 99 point trillion of people who think they are awakening and they're saved and they have the Ruach HaKodesh have no respect for Genesis chapter 1 and Genesis chapter 2. Why? Because there are people caught up in their flesh. So they more so caught up in doing the things that causes their flesh to have its fulfillment, their enjoyment, okay? And they can deceive even more on that standpoint. Now listen to this. And he said, let them have dominion over the fish, over the sea, over the fowls, the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth. Now, how did he start to have dominion and not he and her? It's because a deceiver comes to deceive you out of the perfect will of Yah. Okay, now, and it says here, and all of the earth, and all creeping things that creep upon the earth. So he didn't just give them dominion over the sea, the fowls, or the cattle. He said all over the earth, even the creeping things on the earth. He gave it to him and her. Okay, you go to 27 and it says, so Yah created man in his own image. In the image of Yah, he created he, him, male and female, created them. Now, all this time he was given dominion and over, it was to he and her. Deceivers have deceived so many people because Ahiah has ordained them to be the deceivers to the deceived. Okay? Now watch this here. In verse 27, it said male and female was given the dominion, not just the male. But when sin hit, it caused men to take on a position that Ahiah did not call them to be in, even in this day and time. But the deceiver comes to deceive. Okay. Now look at verse 28. And Ahiah and Yah blessed them. Ahiah blessed them. Okay. Now look, this is 28. Genesis chapter 1:28. He blessed them, and Yah said unto him, no, to them, be fruitful, multiply, replenish the earth, subdue it, and have dominion over the fish in the sea, over the fowls of the air, over every creeping thing that moves upon the earth. Is he talking that to him, Adam? No, he's talking it to Adam and Eve. That was the creator. That was the creation perfect will. Now, do you see why he allowed deceivers to be created? Because he knew sin was going to hit. And the sin that hit, that's also when the deceivers begin to come down. To what? To deceive others. See, Satan was the first deceiver. He didn't deceive Adam and Eve. They went into the area of where they was predestined from heaven to go into, the tree of knowledge and good and evil. That was their destiny. Even though there was other choices there. That was their destiny. That's why they went instant to the wrong tree. You get what I'm saying? And this brought on sin. They did this in the perfect will. They chose the knowledge, the tree of knowledge of good and evil. So I'm showing you how the perfect will of Yah was set there for us. And if we decide to choose sin over the perfect will, that's pretty much telling us our eternal life. And a lot of people that's, like I say, that they are created and ordained to come down to the earth as deceivers. And they feel that a lot of them, let me tell you, people who deceive people, they don't understand that if you got let's say if a person got 5 million people following them, you would think that they would have to come. Their purpose would have to be 5 million people following you. And who are you? You see what I'm saying? What are you? What is in you that's spirit and truth? That's why the deceiver don't like to deal with spirit and truth. This deceiver don't like to deal with the light. They like to stay in the darkness where they can deceive the multitude, the mass. And in their mind, in a deceiver's mind, is clean and good. Because a deceiver measure where they stand in their flesh righteousness, in their flesh just, in their flesh wisdom, in their flesh knowledge, and in their flesh understanding, in their flesh emotions, in their flesh opinion. This is where they stand. If I got enough people that I have already deceived, that I'm in there. I'm in there. That causes a deceiver not to be able to see nothing but what is in him. And that is to deceive the multitude. And it's a beautiful thing to me because it makes a lot of sense. It makes you realize why The deceiver cannot see the unjust. Why is a deceiver cannot see that the monster that it is, and that your mission is to deceive the multitude. So it's not like something, that's why they can't figure this thing out. They can see themselves as holy than thou. They can see themselves in righteousness. But see what the Father allowed them to do in the midst of their deceiving, a Father allowed them to be deceived. See, the deceiver thinking that I'm all good because I got 5 million people following me. No, baby, you are a deceiver ordained before the foundation of the world to deceive 5 million people. But what's the power in it? The deceiver is first deceived himself. But what happens before he deceives himself? A higher deceive him. A higher deceive, allow him to be deceived. Let's put it like that. A higher allow him to be deceived. Okay? This is what happened when you start to see people following by multitude, people who have this fleshly righteousness, this fleshly just, this fleshly understanding, this fleshly wisdom, this fleshly knowledge. And this is why you know that he has ordained many to be as deceivers, because when you get to Genesis chapter 1, you see all this saying them, and then you get to Genesis chapter 1 verse 29, and Ahiah said, behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed which is upon the face of the earth, and every tree in which is fruit to yield seeds. To you shall ye be meat. And I got my old Bible here. And every beast of the earth and every fowl. He's telling them all I give them, and he's still saying he gives these things to them. You all, that was his perfect will. And a deceiver won't go nowhere near Genesis 1, won't go near Genesis 2, because in him he has to make it a lie so that it can deceive those he has already deceived. They can stay deceived. Let's put it like that. So people that are deceived by a deceiver, they're going to remain deceived. And in the midst of it, they're going to think they sitting in righteous. They're going to think they sitting with the Ruach HaKodesh. See, people don't understand. The Holy Spirit is not there to sit within you when you are ordained as a deceiver. It's not going to only give you the deceiver. The Ahiah is not only going to let you come down ordained as a deceiver. He's going to give you those so you can have someone to deceive. See, and while you thinking that, okay, I got 5 million subscribers, I got 5 million likes, or I got 5 million church members, Ahiah said, you only have what I have given you. If I son you and ordain you to be a deceiver, I got to put something in the midst of you that you may deceive. But first of all, you first have to deceive yourselves. And once you deceive yourself, you're going to be ready and geared up to deceive many. So the things in which you have approved of yourself, you want everybody else that you have deceived to see it, feel it, think it, act it, and get it the way your flesh have deceived you. Okay? So he says that a deceiver that's ordained, they teaches and believe that the power of the flesh is best friends with the spirit. And that is so true. They really believe that the flesh is the best friend of the spirit. They never would teach you that the flesh has nothing to do with the spirit. They won't teach you that. Instead, they'll tell you they work together. They'll tell you they on one accord. This is people who are ordained from the Most High to be a deceiver. And they will claim that they are saved, sanctified, and that the Ruach HaKodesh live in them and they have the power. That's what a deceiver is. He first have to deceive himself to believe that. I told this one guy, I said the mind is a very powerful tool. It can make you think you all that and some. It can make you do things that that's not right, that that's not good, but yet you will do it and continue in it. Because once you have outbeat the fact that you are lying to yourself, it becomes the truth in you. You see, it becomes righteous in you. And it's okay too, because people don't understand there's two sets. And this is why flesh can't stand side by side with spirit. This is why flesh cannot be the best friend of spirit. This is why flesh has nothing in common with spirit. That's why flesh is going to end up in the lake of fire and spirit going to end up in eternal heaven. And this is why they have nothing in common. It's no scriptures that would tell you that the flesh has something to affect the spirit. Okay? Don't let nobody tell you all that. But it doesn't matter if you let them. If they are created by a higher, that outrise Sister Deborah. If they are created by the Most High, a higher, from the heavens to come down here to be a deceiver, that's the purpose of him coming to me. Let me know. No matter what you see on them in them other lanes, you stay in yours, because what you're going to see is what I'm going to reveal to you, and I thank him for that. And it made me get my mind off of the long walk, going and coming, because I was he was dealing with me and I was communing with him, and I was like saying that makes so much sense. So a deceiver purpose is to deceive. You got many of people out here, people who got thousands and thousands of members, and hundreds and hundreds of members, and in their mind they have those members by righteous. Why? They do have righteous. See, they didn't know. The deceiver don't know righteous is on two sides. It's on one side of the flesh, and righteous is on the other side of the spirit. The righteous on the other side of the flesh goes to the lake of hell. Okay? The righteous on the spiritual side ends up in eternal heaven. That's the difference. It's just like everything else. The spirit has an eye, the spirit has an ear, the spirit has a mind, the spirit has a heart. Okay? But over here, the flesh has likewise. And see, the deceiver don't know the difference, because they believe if they can detach flesh to spirit, then they in there. And that's how they deceive the people. The people are confused, thinking the ways of the flesh is a helping hand to the ways of the spirit, and the ways of the spirit is a helping hand of the flesh. And the Father says this is where you see the level of the deceivers, how high level they have deceived their deceives, those that are deceived. Okay? And he said that they teaches and believe that the flesh walks side by side with the spirit. He said they teaches and believe that the power of the flesh is best friends to the spirit. And there's no scripture in this instruction and direction Bible that tells you that the flesh and the spirit are ace. They best friends. They side by side. They work together. But the deceiving mindsets of a deceiver, they will make you think that they work hand in hand. Okay? Only thing they could do is the flesh has to be under the subjection to the spirit. That means the spirit is powerful to tame the flesh. And see, with a deceiver, they can't do that. They can't let the spirit tame the flesh, because they work actually on that which is spirit. I mean, that which is flesh, which is wicked and evil. So they work on that end, and that's the only end that they are willing to really be intact with. So they don't want the spirit to get no glory in nothing. So they're not going to tell you your flesh is supposed to get under subjection to your spirit. They ain't gonna tell you. Okay, they ain't gonna teach it to you either, and they ain't gonna teach you Genesis 1 and chapter 1 and chapter 2 and see the pure, perfect will of the Father. They ain't gonna teach you because they got to deceive you. Okay, they come here just to deceive. And like I said, that when the Father told me they don't even know that they deceived, then I was like, wow, that makes so much righteous sense. Oh, Father. He said they teach the book over the Ruach HaKodesh. He said in this Bible here, a deceiver would tell you this book overrides the Ruach HaKodesh. Now, this book is natural. You can see it's made out of paper. What's in it, you can't really say that it's 100% the word of Yah. But the Ruach HaKodesh is known as the Spirit of Yah. It says it is a teacher. So therefore, we know that the Spirit of Yah is the word, because the word is him. So, but what the deceiver do is he take this book and he teaches the deceived ones to only go by the words in this book. Why? Because that's the only way he can deceive you, is through this book. See, a deceiver can't deceive you outside of this book. He can only deceive you with this book, inside this book. And that's why it makes the deceiver feel really good that it can battle and what is it, and it can battle and chastise you and whoop you and beat you from this book. But in spirit, this book ain't got nothing on the Ruach HaKodesh. Because if the Father thought for 1 minute that this book was his word, then why do he need to come down to be a teacher? Huh? Why? Why do you need to come, Father, and live in us to teach us? Why? And see, a deceiver have deceived the mind of so many, they couldn't even see that, what I just said. They couldn't even digest the fact that you mean to tell me that this book that I live on, die on, eat on, is not it? No, it's not. This has always been a spiritual instruction and direction for us to know things of Yah. Yes, he has his fingerprint in it, but you can't see the fingerprint without his spirit. A deceiver is not going to give you the Father's spirit, nor would a deceiver teach you how to find. You have to find it. Why? Because he said even the narrow gate, very few shall what? Find their end. Why? They're not going to find it. Because Ahaya has not given it to them from the heavens. See, we wants to rumble down here on the earth and mess with the minds of the flesh of man. But heaven has already orchestrated the beginning to the end. How do you like him now? That's something that you can't touch. You can't mess with. You see, now when I come out of Genesis chapter 1 and chapter 2, when I read Genesis chapter 1 and chapter 2, I hear the voice of Yah. I hear him creating the earth. You get what I'm saying? What's in this book, if it comes out of the mouth of man, you cannot say it is the word of Yah, because the word of Yah is Yah. It is the word of man. And as other men continue to create this book, a lot of it has been smeared. And the only one can smear it straight is the Ruach HaKodesh. And the Ruach is not coming in you if you are up under a deceiver. If you are up under a deceiver, just said another one. The Hebrew Israelites always talking about how the Christians and the Catholics has misled their people. Wait a minute, hold up. What do you think about the Father not knowing? You think he didn't know that? People who have a mindset for deceiving people, that this book holds the key to all righteous, they're the ones that's ordained from Ahaya to teach those that are already deceived. But first he has to let them be deceived, let them deceive themselves. Okay. Now he said another thing, that they teach this book overrides the Ruach HaKodesh. That's what a deceiver does. It deceive you believe that the things that natural overrides the things that's spiritual. And the father said, Deborah, just stay in your lane. Let it be so. Everything has its end. And a lot of people listen to sick talk. You can tell, I can, because he's given me the spirit of discerning. I can tell a man and a woman that got thick lips and big mouths. We got women who, I don't know if y'all ever seen them, they forever cursing and loud. But when you find a man like that, when you find a man like that, mm, when you find a man like that that calls themselves worshiping the creator, that's a deceiver. Because he has that control of loud, big mouth. His whole mouth is created big for a purpose. So that it and loud, so that it can deceive. And the ugliness that comes out of it is there to deceive those that a higher has given him to deceive. I think that's beautiful. Okay, he tells me they feelings are created up under their flesh opinion. Their flesh opinion means so much to them because that's where their feelings rest. Their feelings, emotions are caught up in their flesh opinion. Because this thing, if someone feelings and emotions are caught up in spirit and truth, then it contains the flesh. It contains those feelings and those emotions. But when the feeling and the emotions and the feelings are attained by the flesh, it ain't going nowhere. Flesh opinion, their whole opinion is mounted in their emotions and their feelings. And that's where it rests. Okay? And he said they teach, build up. He said the deceiver would teach you how to build up on the earth and never teach you about how to build up spiritual things for the heaven. That is so true. Because what happened is the deceiver has to deceive you from what is righteous in the spirit realm, what is just in the spirit realm, or even the direction to the Ruach HaKodesh. So it teaches you to focus on the things in the earth and what you can get, have, build, eat. That's why he says it's going to be like the days of Noah. And then he turns around and says it's going to be like the days of Lot. They're going to be selling, planting, building. He knows what he's talking about, y'all. And just because there's more deceivers and those that are deceived, it's not something you should try to work on and battle with. Let them go. And that's what the Father was explaining to me on that mile-and-a-half walk. Okay? Because the deceiver teach people how to build on the earth, the things of the world and the things on the earth versus the things in the heaven. Okay? He said the deceiver will always come through the back door. The deceiver will always find ways to come through the back door because the front door is the righteous door. That's the door you come in. And that's where you sit with Most High and wait on him to indulge you with his spirit. He teaches, the deceivers teaches people to come in other ways to connect with Yah. You see? And that's what the deceiver is created to do, is to come down to deceive many to believe that the door is this way. We can go in through the back door, the side doors, the upstairs bedroom bed window. We can go in every way. We don't have to come through the front door. That's what a deceiver teaches the multitude. Okay? Deceivers has no reaction to spirit and truth. Now that is number one. I know that's true. I have sit and I watched how deceivers don't have the emotions. They don't have the mindset to divide what is right from wrong and wrong from right. They don't have it because their right is in their flesh. Okay? That's their right. And in their flesh, there's no wrong. It's all my opinion, my feelings, my emotions. All of it is caught up under the flesh. So these deceivers is really about their flesh. And because they have tamed their flesh to be first deceived, they feel that they have the keys to get many others to follow them and be deceived. But what has happened is the father was saying, when you get a situation like this where you know a deceiver should know that he's been deceived, is when he think that his multitude is connected to him because he is righteous. No, it's because you are created to are ordained to be a deceiver. And those that you have deceived, they don't see themselves being deceived by the deceiver. Okay? So he said that a deceiver don't have no reaction to spirit and truth. And I found that out myself being on this devil platform for 4.5 years. They don't. They really don't. He said a deceiver has many perpetual hate ways within. They perpetual hate ways started when they were young. And he was saying as a little child, they got hate in them. And it branched then. And that's another thing that enhanced them to want the ability to lead the multitude because they felt that they knew enough to lead. And they don't understand you were created to lead. You were created to see why you feel that you are all that and some. I supposed to be this. The mindset is caught up on ruling and leading and having the power because they have to be able to orchestrate the purpose of why they're here, and they have to portray these roles and put on this here jacket as if they big, big daddy Kane, and they up here in power and ruling and authority. And they does it so much, they constantly teaching it and preaching it because they are deceivers. So they got to continue to go over and over. That's how Satan is too. He do things over and over and over. I learned that through the speaking in tongue. When people speak in tongues in the sanctuary, the Father have given me the gift of interpreting, and that was one of the signs of Satan's tongue. He repeats what he says over and over and over. And people, that's another thing. I'm gonna go to that one too. So the perpetual hate, he says, falls in a lot of different categories, but most of the ones that are called here to be deceivers, they have a spirit, a heavy wicked spirit of hate, and it's so thick because even when they was young, they had a spirit of hate for certain things and certain people. And that hate has lived in them. So that's why they got to continue to talk on the same subject, to reveal the hate, because it's been in them since they was young boys and young women. The hate is so thick to where now they can't even get away from the fact that, wait a minute, every time I can get on a topic, when I get off that topic, I'm gonna be still landing on the hate on this end. That's why, because it's rooted. It's not going anywhere. The most scary thing about the whole ideal is when he told me they are deceivers and don't know that they are deceivers. They have been ordained and predestined to be deceivers. They don't know it. They think that they are high and mighty rulers. They're trying to show the world how to live. And they don't understand. They're trying to orchestrate everybody else's lives and trying to show the world how to live their way. And that's why they're building on the ways of the world and not the ways of the spirit. Okay, so that's going back to telling you the individual is about the flesh. Okay, so I wanted to cover that, and I'm not going to hold you any longer. I wanted to just share with you that the Father says that a deceiver is ordained, and I thank him for sharing that with me, because it made me realize that the things he's been saying, and even in the midst of the individuals that are deceived, they so deceived they couldn't see righteous if it was sitting right on their lap, because they are deceived. They're created, ordained to be deceived, starting with themselves. And the Father says it's not just their. The Father wanted you all to know that a deceiver is not just deceived in their flesh. They are heavily deceived in their spirit. That's why they continue without recognizing that, wait a minute, you're not teaching the people the things of heaven. You're not teaching people spirit and truth. You're not teaching people light. You're not teaching people the ways to the narrow gate. You're teaching them things that has to do with their flesh, how they can gain in their flesh, what their flesh need, what their flesh want, and you're trying to make it best friends to the spirit because you don't have any spirit and truth for them. So I, Sister Deborah, hope that you got something out of that. And the topic of that is the deceivers are the deceivers ordained to deceive. Praise the mighty Yah.